Sometimes the noise of the world feels like it carries more weight than we expect. This is 10 Better Minutes, a podcast that shares real stories from recent days to offer a steadier view of things. Ones that remind us there is more happening beneath the surface. I am Ian Rhodes, your host, and I appreciate you taking a moment here with me. Today, we will hear about the work Maasai warriors are doing to protect lions while supporting their communities, along with progress in health and environmental efforts from around the globe. But first, I want to start with a story about strangers in Houston who came together to help 3 women trapped after a car fell from an overpass. On Wednesday evening in Houston, a car fell from the Beltway 8 overpass and landed upside down on the Southwest Freeway. Metro Police said the driver lost control while speeding, struck the HOV barrier, and careened off the overpass. Traffic stalled, and drivers faced a hard kind of dilemma because help would require bravery, patience, and careful timing. Witnesses reported a circle of strangers forming right away around the overturned car. People climbed in close enough to hear cries from inside. Jack Johnson said he could hear the women calling out. Others did not just stand and stare. They worked together, passing tools and shifting positions as firefighters were on their way. Some used sledgehammers and poles to pry at the car, while others focused on safety tasks, keeping watch and coordinating so there would be fewer risks while trapped women waited for extraction. In moments like that, it is easy to believe the world is always in a hurry. Yet this story reminds us that ordinary people can slow down in the right way. The volunteers did not need to know one another to act as a team. When firefighters finally arrived, they freed the 3 women and transported them to the hospital. All 3 are expected to survive. Afterward, those strangers shared quick handshakes and quietly went their separate ways. The relief lingered, though, and it feels like proof that trust in people is not naive. Sometimes it is simply what we choose to do when it matters. When land and wildlife meet, it can feel like a tug of war. This story from northern Tanzania asks what happens when that tug becomes a kind of shared guardianship. In the communal pastures east of Tarangire National Park, Saitoti Petro Lorkuta rides his motorbike early each morning, scanning for something as small as lion paw prints in the dust. He is one of more than 160 Maasai warriors for wildlife, working with African people and wildlife, a community-led effort that began in 2005 in the Tarangire Manyara ecosystem and later brought Elvis Kisimir into the work in 2010. The patrols are not just about searching. They are about noticing where lions move, then helping herders adjust grazing so livestock and predators can share the same landscape without constant fear. When sightings come in, the tools make the knowledge travel. Warriors use GPS devices and smartphones to upload updates to an online mapping system, and they share those alerts through a community WhatsApp group. In Kenya, around Amboseli, a related program called Lion Guardians has used mock hunts for decades, using traditional yelps and thunder flashes instead of spears, so protection can replace panic. Since 2017, African people and wildlife has reported recovering more than 16,000 lost livestock worth about $3.5 million, along with fewer lion killings in places where the approach takes hold. It is not a fantasy of perfect harmony. It is a quieter change, where respect becomes practical, and communities can feel like they belong beside the wild again. Sometimes the simplest message carries the deepest meaning, especially when it comes through a voicemail and turns into a homecoming of sorts. On July 7th, 92-year-old Beverly Uli left a voicemail for Lena Perez, knowing it would reach her. Uli had no children, but she had a cherished set of china that she wanted to pass along. In that message, she offered Lena the 12-piece set, with delicate plates, gold-plated water glasses, and serving dishes. The choice mattered because Beverly and Lena's mother had connected through tea parties, and Lena had been part of that warm circle too. A few months earlier, the two shared a tea gathering at Lena's home in Palo Cedro, California. Later, when Lena posted images of a garden tea party she held with steaming cups, tiny sandwiches, and pastries, it felt like the same spirit, just carried forward. She talked about how Beverly had a stroke a few weeks after that original tea party, and that Beverly recovered and is doing well. Still, the voice on the voicemail was what stayed with Lena most. When Lena received the set, she did not treat it like a treasured object only for display. She planned a beautiful table, invited Beverly to visit soon, and used the china in a tea party titled for Beverly and Margaret. Other gifts from Uli found their way into meaningful moments as well. In the end, the china was lovely, but the real gift was chosen family, passed along one careful act at a time. It is easy to feel stuck when you look at the world and only see problems. But today we are zooming in on a handful of practical choices that are quietly improving everyday public health and environmental life. Across places that face very different challenges, people and institutions are treating well-being as something you can build step by step. In India, the Jal Jeevan mission helped rural communities reach drinking water at a far higher rate, moving access from 16.7% up to 80.9%. In Scotland, violent crime is being approached as a public health matter, and the overall report of safety has improved along the way. In England and Wales, the Vagrancy Act of 1824 is set to be repealed next week, shifting attention from punishment to prevention. England is also leaning into movement with a marathon-a-month challenge, encouraging participants to walk about 30 minutes each day with tracking and rewards. Meanwhile, in Mexico City, Isla Urbana has created rainwater harvesting systems for low-income households that can supply water for 5 to 8 months. And in the rivers, the Great Bubble Barrier uses air bubbles to help stop plastic from reaching the sea. What I love is how these efforts feel connected by a common idea. Progress does not always look like one big solution. Often, it looks like better water, safer streets, kinder policies, steadier movement, and smarter protection for the environment, all showing up in the routines of real people. Somewhere between a library card and a spool of thread, there is a quiet kind of change taking shape. And it starts with a simple question. What if clothing could travel a longer path than we expect? Makeathek is building dedicated maker spaces inside public libraries, then filling them with hands-on workshops for groups of 15 to 20 participants. In these sessions, people relearn practical textile skills that are easy to overlook until you need them. They practice basic sewing, repair, and upcycling, then explore natural dyeing and embroidery, turning mending into creativity rather than a chore. What makes the learning feel especially welcoming is the shared access to tools. Alongside embroidery machines, participants can use 3D printers, and they work with open-source textile recycling machines that support the idea of a circular path for fabric. The workshops are part of a 3-year Horizon Europe-funded project, and they include collaboration with organizations such as Fashion Revolution Germany and the European Craft Alliance. One of the founders and voices behind the effort, Geraldine de Bastien from the Global Innovation Gathering, describes it as using fashion and craft to help people step into maker spaces and circular economy conversations through something tangible. In 9 European pilot cities, including Berlin, textiles begin to look less like disposable items and more like materials with possibilities. Even a bus tour to rural Saxony, reaching onward to Czechia and Poland, carries the same message. When skills and tools are shared in community, second lives become real. As always, I have a practical tip to help you reset your attention and bring more steady joy into your day. Let us take a breath first and then zoom in on something simple. Today's tip is about strengthening your attention toward ordinary goodness. Here is the quiet shift. Instead of scanning for what is wrong, gently train yourself to notice what is decent and working, even in small ways. The warm light on the floor, a stranger holding the door, your own body doing its job while you go about your day, a kind message you almost missed. Goodness is not always loud, but it is often close. Try this for 1 full minute. Walk through your home or your current moment and silently name 3 good things. They can be tiny: a clean mug, the fact that you have enough time to pause, the moment you felt calmer after putting something down. Let your mind practice receiving, not just evaluating. When you do this, you are not pretending everything is fine. You are building a different lens. Attention becomes a choice. And with practice, ordinary goodness starts to feel more like a companion than a rare surprise. Hey friends, we made it to the end of today's episode of 10 Better Minutes. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me. If you are feeling worn down by everything loud and bad, I hope these moments served as a quieter counterweight. A reminder that people still show up with patience, decency, and care even when it does not make headlines. If you have a good news story link or a local positive thing that you think more people should know about, please drop it in the comments so we can all learn from it together. This is Ian Rhodes with 10 Better Minutes. Take care, and I will see you tomorrow.